Hello, Peter here again. Today is our fourth session of the Teachers Training Manual, and we're going to look at lesson 3 and 4 in one session. The previous session I gave you some teaching principles on how to be a more effective teacher and some dynamics and techniques to understand the learner and how to be more effective. So lesson 3 on how to teach and some hints for teaching for us to take note. And you can turn in your manual to page number 36. The first point there is the preparation. And I've thought about this in the previous session. The teacher should know the content and the material in depth before teaching class. So the general rule is for every 1 hour of teaching, there's 2 hours of preparation. So that's a general guideline. Unless you are really familiar with the subject, you really need to prepare very well. And I want to encourage you to study your language, study your lesson very well so that you can really be effective. The next important aspect is mentoring the importance of preparation. So it says here, it is not easy to teach people without proper preparation. Both the teacher and the student do feel it when the teacher are well prepared, and the opposite is the same. If you are standing before the students and you do not have prepared, they will very fast familiarize themselves and understand that this teacher is unprepared for the lesson. And that is really not a good situation to be in. So I want to encourage you to take time in your schedule and make time to prepare yourself very well before the lesson. The next point there, it is more important to get well prepared physically, mentally, academically and spiritual when one is called to be a discipler or a pastor or a teacher, especially when those of these students are already in ministry. Remember, if you prepare well and you bring a well-presented lesson, the students will duplicate that. If you don't care about preparation and you're least bothered and quickly go through your notes 10 minutes before the time, the students will duplicate that, and that is the type of preachers and leaders they will become. So you be a role model and give them example what you would like them to become. So preparation is a very important aspect. It's important that you prepare yourself mentally, means feed yourself intellectually, physically, be fit, don't be lazy. It's not a good example if the pastor or the leader is fat and lazy. It's not a good example. It is a dishonor for leadership if you yourself is not disciplined. And be well prepared. Be spiritually prepared. If you don't spend time with the Lord and you're not earnestly seeking His face, you're not really serious about what you are teaching. So be well prepared, maintain a good schedule, be disciplined in your thinking patterns. Next is the curriculum. The curriculum course outline, I will go through that at the end of the session. I will quickly go through all the subjects, and so that you can just familiarize yourself with that. So the curriculum is set. You are going through a curriculum which will take you anything from 3 months to 2 years, which you go through, which will give you a certain qualification, but also give some knowledge imparted into you, and you'll be more effective. Class schedule, that is very important. So remember, each class is different. Some will be evening classes, some will be day classes, some will be a continuous class for 3 months. So as a teacher, we believe that you are qualified to set up a schedule according to what the subjects are, divide them into lessons. That's enough time to teach, enough time to study, enough time for group interaction, and some time for you as a group to spend together. Teaching, I'm not going to go through that in depth. We've gone through that in the previous session. So important for you to understand that teaching is not just you standing in front of students and you give them knowledge. There is a better and a more dynamic process. You need to get to know each other. So before you start the class and you start teaching the students, Get to know them. What is their background? Are they married? Are they single? What type of ministry are they in? Do they have a church? Do they have a cell group? Are they a leader of leaders? Are they new in ministry? Get to know, to understand them, so that you can equip them and encourage them to be effective in the area where they are ministering. It's very important for you to appreciate them and to encourage them and to acknowledge the effort they sit in. They are human beings that go through emotional, spiritually, physical difficulties, good times, bad times, celebrate it with one another. If a student goes through a difficult time, circumstances, have empathy with them, pray with them, spend time with them. We are here to have a model for what we're going to do. We are actually a congregation which need to live and learn how to live and learn together. Encourage each student to have his own manual. I know there's a fee involved. We're going to talk about the fees just now. But if the student can't afford it and they're really in need, look at the circumstances, what is their financial situation, and there is some bursaries available for some students to get the manuals, but always encourage them to contribute. Even if they can't pay, encourage them to come and help set up the classroom, prepare things, so that we just don't get into a habit of having a bigger mentality. We contribute for what we have. We can contribute time, we can contribute by assisting the students, assisting other students, assisting the lecturer. So get to understand that. There's a difference between a facilitator and a leader. A leader is somebody who walks in front and people walk behind him. He leads people. Facilitator is actively involved in facilitating people and help them to discover the truth themselves. So it's a much more better, effective way of learning if you facilitate the knowledge and you encourage them to study themselves and to get to know the truth that is being taught. Important aspect in the beginning of each class, tell the students, today we're going to study this, and this is the outcome. It's inquired of you to do this and this at the end, so that the student can prepare himself as he goes through the material to know what is the content, what will he learn, and what is expected of him. Also be a good listener. Listen to the students, and in the beginning of each lesson, we've studied this last time, do you remember? Ask some questions, challenge them, challenge all the students to be involved in the class. Sometimes there's one dominant or two dominant people who wants to raise their voice. There's some quiet students. Encourage each one to participate, not only the dominant, strong personality-wise students, but also the students that are more quiet. Give them the opportunity and encourage them to speak their minds. Very important to have discussions between classes. There's a combination between lecture, discussion, question, answer. That all helps us to become better students. Even though students are required to express themselves, just remember the knowledge they have and what they will have at the end is not the same. So sometimes they may say some things that is not in line with biblical truth or not in line what they're going to be taught. Encourage them to change their way of thinking and change their pattern of behavior. So this what you understand is not the full truth. We are going to explain that better to you. That is why we are here. We are here to learn. Otherwise, if you know everything, you can be the teacher. The questions you ask must be questions not just that have an answer yes or no, but questions: who did this, why did they that, how do you interpret that? That is important to understand. If someone gives the wrong answer, that means that they have not familiarized themselves with the content and they still need to learn. And then, very important, don't allow to be distracted. Some students like to distract you with difficult questions and bombard you with their own arrogance or their own wisdom in their own eyes. Don't allow students to distract the class. This is the topics we go through today. If you ask a question that is related to a topic later, just tell the student, very good question, in the next subject or in the 3rd or 4th month you will learn this. So keep your question, it will be answered. The use of time is very important, that we stick to our time. If we have 40 minutes for a lesson, try to stick with it. If the students did not grasp the content, go over it again, make sure they go understand the content, but it's important to use time effectively to highlight the main aspects. And remember, we are not here to read to the student, they must read themselves, and if they don't understand, they can always ask after the lesson. The next point there is Bible study. I require all the students to read through the whole Bible from Genesis to Revelation while they study. So it's a good discipline for them. In the morning, wake up early and try to read while you study these subjects and go through this course. At least have read through the Bible once. It's encouraged, and check on the students, work out a timetable for them, read so many chapters a day that you can read through the Bible every year. And that's a good discipline to get into as a pastor, that you at least read through the Bible every year. Then there's a nice app. We're all familiarized with the digital age. There's an app called Leading Well that works with the course. So download the course Leading Well. You're all familiarized with the digital age. So there's an app which can be applied for your class. You can upload your material. You can download some extra lessons. Everything will be on that app. So download the app. Work together as a group how you're going to familiarize, customize the app for your specific situation. So that is the lesson how to teach.